Chapter 1. The Shattered Dream. The scent of freshly cut pine and damp earth was the smell of a promise. For Lem Miller, it was a smell of salvation. Standing on the muddy patch of land that would soon be their front yard, he watched the skeleton of their house rise against the pale morning sky. Each 2 times 4, each nail, was a testament to years of overtime, of greasy knuckles and aching backs at the auto shop. Beside him, his wife Sarah clutched her sketchbook to her chest, her weary eyes shining with a light he hadn't seen in months. "It's really happening, Lem," she whispered, a smile finally winning the battle against the exhaustion that had been her constant companion. In her book were drawings, not just of a house, but of a life. A sun-drenched breakfast nook, a sprawling oak in the backyard with a tire swing for their 2 kids, and in the corner of the second floor, her own small art studio with a north-facing window. Their dream, rendered in soft pencil strokes. Liam wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. The grease was, as always, permanently etched under his fingernails, a stark contrast to her artistic, slender hands. "It's happening, Sar. We earned it." Their journey had been a gauntlet. They had scraped together every last penny for the down payment on the land. The bank had been reluctant until Arthur Pendleton, a loan officer with a slick smile and a portfolio full of intimidating jargon, had finally approved their construction loan. He'd recommended the contractor, too. "Silas Vance is the best in the county," Pendleton had assured them, his voice smooth as polished marble. "Efficient, reliable. He'll have you in your dream home before you know it." And at first, Sly Vance had been the very picture of competence. He'd shown up in a suit that looked expensive but fit just a little too tight, a rolled-up blueprint in his hand like a royal scepter. He'd been charming, full of promises, twisting the gaudy gold ring on his pinky finger as he spoke of quality craftsmanship and unwavering times. The first few weeks were a blur of joyous progress. The foundation was poured, the framing shot up. Every weekend, Liam and Sarah would bring the kids, their excited shrieks echoing through the cavernous, unfinished rooms. Liam, a mechanic by trade, had a meticulous eye for systems. He appreciated the clean geometry, the logical flow of the construction. He trusted the process, he trusted the men in suits. That was his first mistake. The unease started subtly. A window frame that looked slightly off-kilter. A stack of plumbing pipes that looked suspiciously thin and cheap. Lee would frown, making a mental note, but then dismiss it. These were professionals, after all. He fixed cars, they built houses, but the small doubts began to accumulate, like rust on a forgotten fender. The scheduled electrical corrosions was rushed, with Sly waving away Liam's questions about the gauge of the wire. "Standard practice, my friend. All up to code. Don't you worry." The real horror arrived on a Saturday. They'd come alone this time, leaving the kids with Sarah's mother. The drywall was going up next week, and they wanted one last look at the bones of the house. As they walked through the front door, the smell of fresh lumber was mixed with something else, something odd. "Did they change the layout in our bathroom?" Sarah asked, her voice tight. She walked ahead, her sketchbook held like a shield. Liam followed her up the rough-hewn stairs. His heart began to pound a slow, heavy rhythm against his ribs. He knew every inch of the blueprints. He had them memorized, just as Sarah had their future life memorized in her drawings. They stepped into the space designated as their master bathroom. And they froze. The room was smaller than they remembered. A new wall, crudely framed, bisected the space. And right in the middle of that wall, precisely where their brand-new 6-foot cast-iron bathtub was supposed to sit, a series of wooden studs rose from the floor to the ceiling. The tub, a beautiful claw-footed model they'd spent weeks picking out, was sitting in the adjacent master bedroom, still in its crate. The wall wasn't just in the wrong place. It ran directly through the area where the tub was meant to be installed. It was an act of such staggering incompetence it felt like a deliberate act of insanity. "No," Sarah breathed, her voice trembling. She opened her sketchbook, her hands shaking as she flipped to the page with the bathroom design. The drawing showed a spacious, airy room, the bathtub a centerpiece under a frosted window. She looked from the paper to the monstrous wall and back again. A single, choked sob escaped her lips. Liam's mind, accustomed to diagnosing complex mechanical failures, went into overdrive. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a simple miscalculation. This was a fundamental system-wide failure. He pulled out his phone, his hands surprisingly steady. The grease under his nails seemed to mock him, a symbol of honest work in a world of deceit. His call to Sly Vance went to voicemail, and the next, on the third try, the contractor finally picked up. "Miller, just a man. Everything looking good? My guys are making great time." Sly's voice was slick with false bonhomie. "Sly, you need to get down here," Liam said, his voice dangerously level. "There's a problem with the master backroom." "Problem? Can't be. My foreman is the best. Just a little tweak, I'm sure. We can adjust it on the fly." "You built a wall through our bathtub." There was a pause on the other end of the line. For a split second, Liam thought he heard a muffled chuckle. "A wall through your Liam. You're not a builder. Sometimes things look strange before they're finished. I'll swing by on Monday. Take a look." "No? You'll come now?" Liam insisted, his grip on the phone tightening. Another pause. "I'm a very busy man. But for you, fine. I'll be there in an hour. And I'm bringing Arthur from the bank. He needs to sign off on the progress payment anyway. We can clear this all up at once." The line went dead. An hour later, two luxury sedans crunched over the gravel driveway. Sly Vance emerged from one, his flashy suit clashing with the muddy construction site. He was already twisting that gold ring. Arthur Pendleton emerged from the other, his expression one of pure annoyance, as if he were being forced to deal with unruly children. They strode into the house, their expensive shoes navigating the debris with disdain. Liam and Sarah stood waiting in the desecrated bathroom. Sly looked at the wall, then at the blueprint. Liam held out. He feigned a moment of confusion. Then his face split into a condescending smile. "Ah, I see the confusion. There was a revision. Structural necessity. Have to move a load-bearing point. The architect sent it over last week." "No one told us," Liam said, his jaw tight. "And this isn't structural. It's just wrong." "Look," Sly said, dropping the friendly act. His eyes turned cold and flat. "You're behind on your progress payment. The bank is getting antsy. You sign the paper. We get paid. We keep building. We can figure out the tub situation later." That's when Arthur Pendleton stepped forward, holding a clipboard. "Mr. Miller, your loan agreement is quite clear. Payments are tied to construction milestones, not your aesthetic satisfaction, Mr. Vance's foreman has certified that the framing stage is complete. You are contractually obligated to release the funds." Sarah, who had been silent, finally spoke, her voice shaking with rage. "You call this complete? It's a joke. You are ruining our home." Sly let out a short, ugly laugh. "Lady, it's not a home yet. It's a collection of wood and nails that I own until you've paid for it. And right now, you're not paying." Liam stepped in front of Sarah, shielding her. "We're not signing anything until this is fixed." Pendleton's face hardened. He was no longer a slick loan officer. He was a bully, a thug in a suit. "Let me be perfectly clear," he said, his voice low and menacing. "If you refuse to sign, you will be in breach of your loan agreement. We will immediately initiate foreclosure proceedings. At the same time, Mr. Vance here will place a lien on this property and sue you for the full remaining value of his contract." He leaned in closer, his gaze sweeping over their worn clothes and horrified faces. "You'll lose the land. You'll lose the house. You'll lose every dollar you've sunk into this project, and you'll be in debt for the next 30 years. So I suggest you pick up the pen, sign the paper, and let the professionals get back to work." The threat hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. They were trapped. The joyous promise of the morning had curdled into a waking nightmare. The skeleton of their dream house no longer looked like a promise. It looked like a cage, and the bars were closing in.